Hi everyone, this is DeeDee and this is Reading with DeeDee. I have always wanted to start a virtual book club. I don't know, I guess I just never had the courage up until recently. So yeah, this is my first go. I love to listen to different perspectives. So while we're reading this book, if you guys, feel moved to comment or anything about what the main character is going through or how you would feel in that situation, how you think you would feel in that situation, please, I'm all ears. I read this book for the first time when I was 10 years old. And I've read it, I don't know, maybe 20 times since then. And I've changed, I've grown. So I I see Billy Joe now. When I was reading it as a child, I saw her as like a friend, and now I see her as more of like a kid. So this it's a great book. If you haven't read it, Out of the Dust by Karen Hesse, if you haven't read this, please pick it up. Go buy it. Read it to your kids or have them read it. It is a children's book. It's great. It's a strong story of perseverance. So I am going to start. Just so you know, this book will be separated in about 7 different parts. The videos will be about 20 to 30 minutes each. We're just gonna read like it's separated from like winter of 1934 and summer, things like that. So we'll stop there and then we'll just have a short little discussion and yeah. Beginning August 1920. As summer wheat came ripe, so did I. Born at home on the kitchen floor, Ma crouched, barefoot, bare-bottomed, over the swept boards because that's where Daddy said it would be best. I came too fast for the doctor, bawling as soon as Daddy wiped his hand around inside my mouth. To hear Ma tell it, I hollered myself red the day I was born. Red's the color I've stayed ever since. Daddy named me Billy Joe. He wanted a boy. Instead, he got a long-legged girl with a wide mouth and cheekbones like bicycle handles. He got a red-headed, freckle-faced, narrow-hipped girl with a fondness for apples and a hunger for playing fierce piano. From the earliest I can remember, I've been restless in this little panhandle shack we call home, always getting in Ma's way with my pointy elbows, my fidgety legs. By the summer I turned 9, Daddy had given up about having a boy. He tried making me do. I looked just like him. I could handle myself most everywhere he puts me, even on the tractor, though I don't like that too much. Ma tried having other babies. Never seemed to go right, except with me. But this morning, Ma let on how she's expecting again. Other than the 3 of us, there's not much family to speak of. Daddy's the only boy Kelby left since Grandpa died from cancer that ate up most of his skin. And Aunt Ellis, almost 14 years older than Daddy, living in Lubbock, away south of here, and a whole world apart here, Daddy tell it. And Ma, with old great Uncle Floyd, old as ancient Indian bones and mean as a rattler, rotting away in that room in Dallas. I'll be nearly 14, just like Aunt Ellis when Daddy was born by the time this baby comes. Wonder if Daddy'll get his boy this time. Rabbit battles. Mr. Noble and Mr. Romney have a bet going as to who can kill the most rabbits. It all started on the rabbit drive last Monday over to Sturgis, when Mr. Noble got himself worked up about the damage done his crops by jacks. Mr. Romney swore he had more rabbit trouble than anyone in San Juan County. They pledged revenge on the rabbit population, wagering who could kill more. They ought to just shut up, betting on how many bunnies they could kill honestly. Grown men clubbing bunnies to death makes me sick to my stomach. I know rabbits eat what they shouldn't, especially this time of year when they could hop halfway to Liberal, still not find any food. But Miss Freeland says if we keep plowing under the stuff they ought to be eating, what are they supposed to do? Mr. Noble and Mr. Romney came home from Sturgis Monday with 20 rabbits apiece. A tie. Should have stopped there. But Mr. Romney wasn't satisfied. He said, Noble cheated. He brought in rabbits somebody else killed. So the contest goes on. Those men, They used to be best friends. Now they can't be civil with each other. They scowl as they pass on the street. I'm scowling too. Scowling won't bring the rabbits back. They're all skinned and cooked and eaten by now. At least they didn't end up in Romney and Noble's cook pots. They went to families that needed the meat. Luz and Livy. Livy Killian moved away. I didn't want her to go. We've been friends since first grade. The farewell party was Thursday night at the old rock schoolhouse. Livy had something to tease each of us about, like Ray sleeping through reading class and Hillary, who on her speed writing test put an even ton of children instead of an even 10. Livy said goodbye to each of us separately. She gave me a picture she'd made of me sitting at front of the piano wearing my straw hat and eating an apple halfway to my mouth. I handed Livy the memory book we'd all filled with our different slants. Couldn't get the muscles in my throat relaxed enough to tell her how much I miss her. Livy, she helped clean up her own party, wiping up spilled lemonade, gathering sandwich crusts, sweeping cookie crumbs from the floor, while the rest of us went home to study for semester reviews. Now Livy's gone west, out of the dust, on her way to California, where the wind takes a rest sometimes. And I'm wondering what kind of friend I am, wanting my feet on that road to another place instead of Livy's. Me and Mad Dog. Arlie Wanderdale, who teaches music once a week at our school, though Ma says he's no teacher at all, just a local song plugger. Arlie Wanderdale asked if I'd like to play piano solo at the Palace Theater on Wednesday night. I grinned, pleased to be asked, and said, that'd be all right. I didn't know if Mom will let me. She's an old mule on the subject of my schooling. She says, you stay home, Billy, on weeknights, Billy Joe. And mostly I do. But Arlie Wanderdale said, the management asked me to bring them talent, Billy Joe, and I thought of you. Even before Mad Dog Chronic? I wondered. You and Mad Dog? Arlie Wanderdale said. Darn that blue-eyed boy with his fine face and his smooth voice. Twice as good as any plowboy has any right to be. I suspected Mad Dog had come first to Arlie Wanderdale's mind, but I didn't get too riled. Not so riled I couldn't say yes. Permission to play. Sometimes when Mom is busy in the kitchen or scrubbing or doing wash, I can ask her something in such a way. I annoy her just enough to get an answer, but not so much I get a no. That's a way I've found in gaining what I want, by catching Ma off guard, especially when I'm after permission to play piano. Right after asking her is no good. She always gets testy about me playing, even though she's the one who actually taught me. Anyway, this time I caught her in the slow stirring of biscuits. Her mind on other things, maybe the baby growing inside her, I don't know. But anyhow, she was distracted enough. I was determined enough. This time, I got just what I wanted. Permission to play at the palace. On stage. When I point my fingers at the keys, the music springs straight out of me. Right hand playing notes sharp as tongues, telling stories while the smooth buttery rhythms back me up on the left. Folks sway in the palace aisles, grinning and stomping out of breath, and the rest, eyes shining, fingers snapping, feet tapping. It's the best I've ever felt, playing hot piano, sizzling with Mad Dogs, swinging with the Black Mesa Boys, or on my own, crazy, pestering the keys. That is heaven. How supremely heaven playing piano can be. Birthday for FDR. I played so well on Wednesday night, Arlie put his arm across my shoulder and asked me to come and perform at the president's birthday ball. Ma can't say no to this one. It's for President Roosevelt. Not that Mr. Roosevelt would actually be there, but the money collected at the ball, along with the balls all over the country, will go in the president's name to the Warm Springs Foundation, where Mr. Roosevelt stayed once when he was sick. Someday, I plan to play for President Franklin Delano Roosevelt himself. Maybe I'll go all the way to the White House in Washington, D.C. In the meantime, it's pretty nice Arlie asking me to play twice in Joy City. Not too much to ask. We haven't had a good crop in 3 years, not since the bounty of 31. And we're all whittled down to the bone these days, even Ma with her new round belly. But still, when the committee came asking, Ma donated 3 jars of applesauce and some cured pork and a feed sack 90 she'd sewn for our coming baby. Mr. Hartley's money handling. It was Daddy's birthday and Mom decided to bake him a cake. There wasn't money enough for anything like a real present. Mom sent me to fetch the extras with 50 cents she'd been hiding away. Don't go to Joy City, Billy, she said. You can get what we need down at Hartley's store. I slipped the coins into my sweater pocket, the pocket without the hole, thinking about how many sheets of new music 50 cents would buy. Mr. Hartley glared when the Wonder Bread door banged shut behind me. He squinted as I creaked across the wooden floor. Mr. Hartley was in the habit of charging too much for his stale food, and he made bad change when he thought he could get away with it. I squinted back at him as I gave him Mom's order. Mr. Hartley has been worse than normal since his attic filled up with dust and collapsed under the weight. He hired folks for the repairs and argued over every nail and every little minute. The whole place took shoveling for days before he could open again, and some stock was so bad it had to be thrown away. The stove clanked in the corner as Mr. Hartley filled Ma's order. I could smell apples, ground coffee, and peppermint. I sorted through the patterns on the feed bags, sneezed dust, blew my nose. When Mr. Hartley finished sacking my things, I paid the bill, tucking the list in my pocket along with the change. Hurried home so Ma could bake the cake before Daddy came in. But after Ma emptied the sack, setting each packet out on the oilcloth, she counted her change. And I remembered with a sinking feeling that I hadn't kept an eye on Mr. Hartley's money handling. Mr. Hartley had cheated again. Only this time he cheated himself, giving us an extra 4 cents. So, while Ma mixed a cake, I walked back to Mr. Hartley's store, back to the dust, back to the Wonder Bread door, thinking about the secondhand music in a moldy box at the shop in Joy City, music I could have for 2 cents a sheet. I placed Mr. Hartley's overpayment on the counter and turned to head back home. Mr. Hartley cleared his throat, and I wondered for a moment. He called me back and offered me a piece of peppermint, picked me out an apple from the crate. But he didn't. And that's okay. Ma would have thrown a fit if I'd taken a gift from him. "50 miles south of home. In Amarillo, wind blew plate glass windows in, tore electric signs down, ripped wheat straight out of the ground. Rules of dining. Ma has rules for setting the table. I place the plates upside down, glasses bottom side up, napkins folded over forks, knives, and spoons. When dinner is ready, we sit down together, and Ma says, "Now." We shake out our napkins, spread them on our laps, flip over our glasses and plates, exposing neat circles, round comments on what life would be like without dust. Daddy says, "Those potatoes are peppered plenty tonight, Polly." And, "Chocolate milk for dinner? Aren't we, Clover?" When really all our pepper and chocolate is nothing but dust. I heard word from Livy Killian. The Killians can't find work. Can't get food. Livy's brother, Reuben, 15 last summer, took off thinking to make it on his own. I hope he's okay. With a baby growing inside Ma, it scares me thinking, where would we be without somewhere to live? Without some work to do? Without something to eat? At least we got milk, even if we have to chew it. Breaking drought. After 70 days of wind and sun, of wind and clouds, of wind and sand, after 70 days of wind and dust, a little rain came. Dazzled. In the kitchen, she is my ma. In the barn and the field, she is my daddy's wife. But in the parlor, ma is something different. She isn't too much to look at, so long and skinny, her teeth poor, her hair dark, always neat and washed. But from the time I was 4, I remember being dazzled by her whenever she played the piano. Daddy bought it, an old Kramer, his wedding gift to her. She came to the house and found gaps in the walls, a rusty bed, no running water, and that piano gleaming in the corner. Daddy gets soft eyes standing behind her while she plays. I want someone to look at me that way. On my 5th birthday, Mom sat me down beside her and started me to reading music, started me to playing. I'm not half as good as Mom. She could pull Daddy into the parlor even after the last milking, when he's so beat he barely knows his own name and all he wants is a mattress under his bones. Got to be something to get his notice that time of day. Mom can. I'm not half so good with my crazy playing as she is with her fine tunes and her fancy fingerwork. But I'm good enough for Arlie, I guess. Debts. Daddy is thinking of taking a loan from Mr. Roosevelt and his men to get some new wheat planted where the winter crop has spindled out and died. Mr. Roosevelt promises Daddy won't have to pay a dime till the crop comes in. Daddy says, I can't turn the fields over, start again. Sure to rain soon. Wheat's sure to grow. Ma says, what if it doesn't? Daddy takes off his hat, roughs up his hair, puts the hat back on. Of course it'll rain, he says. Ma says, Babe, it hasn't rained enough to grow wheat in 3 years. Daddy looks like a fight is brewing. He takes that red face of his out to the barn to keep from feuding with my pregnant Ma. I asked Ma, how, after all this time, Daddy still believes in the rain. Well, rain's enough, Mom says, now and again to keep a person hoping. But even if it didn't, your daddy would have to believe. It's coming on spring and he's a farmer. Foul as maggoty stew. Arlie Wanderdale said the rehearsals for Sonny of Sunnyside shouldn't take me out of school more than twice a week. When I told Mom, she got angry about my missing school to play piano for some show. Me and Daddy, we're trying our best to please Mom for fear of what it might do to the baby if we don't. I don't know why she's so against my plan. She says that school is important. I do all right in school. I know she doesn't like the kind of music I play, but sometimes I think she's just plain jealous. When I'm at the piano and she's not, maybe she's a little afraid of me going somewhere with the music she can't follow. Or the music taking me so far away one day, I'll never come home. Whatever the reason, she said I couldn't do it. Arlie had to get somebody else to take my place. I do as she says. I go to school. And in the afternoons, I come home, run through my chores, do my reading and math at the kitchen table. And all the while, I glare at Ma's back with a scowl as foul as maggoty stew. State tests. When I got home, I told Ma our school scored higher than the whole state on achievement tests and I scored top of 8th grade. Ma nodded. I knew you could. That's all she said. She was proud, I could tell, but she didn't coo like Mad Dog's Ma or go on like Mrs. Killian used to. Daddy says, and that's not your Ma's way. But I wish it was. I wish she'd give me a little more to hold on to than I knew you could. Instead, she makes me feel like she's just taking me in, like I'm so much flannel on a line. Fields of flashing light. I heard the wind rise, stumbled from my bed, down the stairs, out the door, into the yard. The night sky kept flashing. Lightning danced down on its spindly legs. I sensed it before I knew it was coming. I heard it. I smelled it. I tasted it. Dust. While Ma and Daddy slept, the dust came, tearing up fields where the winter wheat set for harvest in June stood helpless. I watched the plants surviving after so much drought, so much wind. I watched them fry or flatten or blow away like bits of cast off rags. It wasn't until the dust turned toward the house like a fired locomotive, and I fled, barefoot and breathless, back inside. It wasn't until the dust hissed against the windows, until it ratcheted the roof, that Daddy woke. He ran to the storm, his overalls half hooked up over his union suit. "Daddy," I called, "you can't stop the dust." Ma told me to cover the beds, push the scatter rugs against the door, dampen the rags around the windows, wiping dust out of everything. She made coffee and biscuits, waiting for Daddy to come in. Sometime after 4, rubbing low on her back, Ma sank down into a chair at the kitchen table and covered her face. Daddy didn't come back for hours, not until the temperature dropped so low it brought snow. Ma and I sighed, grateful, staring out the dirty flakes. But our relief didn't last. The wind snatched that snow right off the fields, leaving behind a sea of dust. Waves and waves and waves of dust rippling across our yard. Daddy came in. He sat across from Ma and blew his nose. Mud streamed out. He coughed, spit out mud. If he had cried, his nose would have been his tears would have been mud too. But he didn't cry, and neither did Ma. All right, so that was the winter of 1934. So just, to discuss a few key points. What we see with Billie Joe, I mean, she's a young girl. She's 13 right now, soon to be 14. Her mother is pregnant, and it sounds like, maybe her family is struggling with infertility. So they're super excited for this baby, and she wants it to be a boy for her dad. She seems extremely compassionate. When it comes to the bunnies, it just kind of makes me chuckle because she's kind of an old soul. She doesn't like the idea that they're killing these bunnies for sport. She's like, "Are you kidding? I get it for the meat, but this is, be civil with each other. Let's grow up." It's like, well, you're only 13, but she gets it. She's experienced a lot of pain in her life, and when she wants to play piano for the show and she has to miss school and her mom says no, as a kid I remember reading that and thinking, oh, that's not fair. And now, as an adult, you're just like, yeah, well, you don't get to miss school because you want to go play piano at a show. And it's tough. Maybe when she gets older she'll understand that. But Billie Joe is just a regular teenager. She is, ordinary person in an extraordinary circumstances, and she is enduring. She's persevering. She is pushing herself, and she's got a bit of a strained relationship with her mother, but her parents are loving and they take care of her. So you could tell she's just the kind of kid to count her blessings, and you know it's moving getting to know her. So that was the winter of 1934. Let me know in the comments if what you think about Billie Joe so far, and what you think about her family and all that. I'd like to hear it. So yeah, that's our first ever session with Reading with DeeDee, Out of the Dust by Karen Hesse, and we will have 6 more of these to come. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time.